Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters, and today we're taking a look here at Selene, Alt, and Nihilego. They are the Part 2, quote-unquote Part 2, I guess, the second character to drop alongside the new Ultra Beast related story event, Ultra Beast Meet and Greet. The first one was Eriott, of course, and now we have Selene. So we're going to do a little overview here, seeing what her kit is like, if she's good, if she's not good, and pretty much just that. Not really much else to say, I guess. I don't really have too many inputs for now without going into more detail on the kit. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. So, Selene is a special strike character with the Tech EX roll. She is rock and weak to ground. Strikes Tech, very, very basic combination. Still good though, of course, you know, giving strikes their extra little power with the Tech EX roll. That is good, of course. She drops on August 2nd, leaves August 26th, giving you about 3.5 weeks to pull for her. That is definitely a good amount of time. Should have the data download by that point, or the new update rather, the dev letter, right? Should have the dev letter by time this drops, so, or by the time she leaves. So if you do want to wait, not a bad idea. Anyway, whatever. Looking at her stats, she's got 635 health, 132 defense, 160 special defense, 468 special attack, and 309 speed. One thing that I do think is very low is her base defense stat, which it doesn't look low here because full investment, but just 332 defense is not good. Even for modern, like, strike standards. Like, let's look at Barry here without full investment. Barry, I guess he's got about the same defenses, right? So honestly, bad example. Maybe I'm just going crazy. I could definitely be. And I wish these stats would save. Please. Okay, sure, there. But whatever, it doesn't really matter too much. So I think her defense are a little bit low, but of course with investment, you know, it helps out. 172 defense, 200 special defense. Her special defense is fine. This is not bad. Just the physical defense is a little bit iffy. 192 defense, 220 special defense, and then of course level 150 bumps that up even more. Not horrible stats, right? With full investment here, 6RX Tech roll in level 150, 825 health is very good, 552 special attack is amazing, 365 speed is good as well, and then the defenses are fine. She's a striker, so defensive ability is not her forte, but of course when you're taking AoE attacks, or just attacks in general, you'll want to consider her defensive prowess at least a little bit, or at least the ability to work around her melee defenses. So this is not that bad to have, but it's whatever. Anyway, looking at her moves, Acid, 1 gauge move, 10% chance to lower special defense, hits all enemies. This is actually enhanced by a passive here, which raises the chance of lowering the stat values with the additional effects of moves. And whenever an opponent's stat is lowered by the additional effects of the user's moves, it is lowered by double the stat ranks. I'm only going to be guessing that this is guaranteed, turning her Acid from a 10% chance to debuff special defense into a guaranteed special defense debuff, and then it will also double that same amount. So instead of doing 10% chance of 1 special defense debuff on all enemies, or random enemies rather, you'll be guaranteed to get 2 special defense debuffs on all enemies, which is very, very good for sure. It's akin to like Signasu Brendan's EX roll and whatnot, where not EX roll, his passive, where he's got, what is it, here, unexpected benefits times 2, where he doubles the chances of his effects and he also doubles the amount of debuffs. So that it's akin to that, and it's obviously better for sure. So having those guaranteed special defense debuffs is really, really nice for sure. No doubt about that. She's got herself a Lola Analysis, which is a 2 gauge 2-use move. It's Lola Circle, right? Buff special moves next of all allies by 1, and can power up allies' attacks by up to 40% and apply up to 14% damage reduction for all special attacks, which is, you know, nice, right? Obviously, she's meant to pair up with Elio, so of course they will be having that synergy, just innate, right? You're going to be getting 2 Alola characters, both with Alola Circles. The buff there is already really, really strong, so having that is nice. And of course, if you do want to try to pair up with another Alola character, you can try to the best of your ability. Of course, bringing a special attacking Alola character or an Alola in support will help you best. Maybe some Racerola, Variety Guzma, you know, go down the list, right? I guess maybe Signasu Mina wouldn't be too horrible. You know, those characters could help out quite a bit for supportive-wise, and then for offensive-wise, I guess. None of them particularly synergize well, but again, they're options, right? Like Signasu Gladion, Variety Plumeria, you know, whoever you want to try, go for it. But the biggest thing that you're going to be trying to work around is, I guess, probably putting her with Elio, if you are going to be going for that Alola maxing, or just not worrying about it, frankly. Just not bringing any Alola characters, or at least not intentionally trying to build around bringing Alola characters, and you just let the circle do its own thing. That is equally viable, and I think is probably a better idea, just in general. So, that, yeah. Anyway, it's still good. It's still a good buff for her, for sure. She's got her buddy move, Nihil Meteor Beam, 4-gauge move, 210 power, hits all enemies, 252 maximum power, by the way. The activation condition is when her special attack is raised. The user gets ready to attack, raises the user's special attack by 1 stat rank when it gets ready to attack. The user's special attack will not rise if it has not gotten ready to attack. Using this move again will cause the user to leave this posture and then attack. No other action can be taken while ready to attack. It never misses. The more the target special defense is lower, the greater the power of the attack. Lowers target special defense by 1 when it is poisoned or badly poisoned. The preparation period is skipped when a circle applies to the field of play, and the user will attack right away. You catch all that? Probably not. Basically, what it's saying is that it's a 2-turn move, but it skips that preparation period when you are in circle. So it's like, effectively, if Phantom Force was a 1-turn move, Freeze Shock was a 1-turn move, Solar Blade, it works like Solar Beam. Solar Beam instantly skips its preparation period in Sun, so same with Solar Blade. It works effectively like that, but a circle has to be applied to the field of play. Back in my initial kit reaction video, I did not completely catch that it was any circle and not just a Alola circle, Alola special circle, because if it was just that, I had a lot of choice words for Selene. Still kind of do. I still think that condition can be very limiting for team builds, but it's definitely a lot better, no doubt. Anyway, so if you do have a circle up, it will skip that preparation period, but if you do not have a circle up, you will be forced to use the attack, for 2 turns, and it will buff her special attack by 1 when it does that preparation period, so keep that in mind. And the move, of course, unconditionally, it never misses, and it will lower enemy special defense, and it gets powered up the more the enemy's special defense is lowered. So that is definitely nice. Of course, whenever the enemies are poisoned, it will debuff the special defense, right? So if they're poisoned, debuff special defense, and unconditionally, it gets powered up the more the enemy special defense is debuffed. So this works again in conjunction with her passive here, so potentially it should double the debuffs for the enemies, which is definitely not bad for sure. You got yourself an AoE move that can debuff special defense about the same amount as Acid, but of course it actually does a lot more damage than Acid, so that's a big part. Also, yeah, so that's nice to have. And then she got her turn to move Ultra Opportunity, which raises her special attack by 4, crit by 3, and increases special moves next by 1. Very basic turn to move, very good turn to move, whatever, right? She just needs plus 2 special attack to be maxed out. That is the point of the little effect here of her buddy move, where she's able to buff special attack when she's in the preparation period, right? So, sure, more self-sufficiency there, though. Of course, it's always just going to be better to be able to use the move twice, because the damage difference will be a lot bigger if you just use the move twice instead of waiting, buffing special attack, and then using the move, right? Obviously, it's going to be a lot better just to be able to use the move twice. No doubt about that. Anyway, moving on to the rest of her passive, she's got Poison type hit, Poison 9, leaves the target poison when the user's Poison type move is successful, and then Soften Up 1 for guaranteed crits. So, her kit overall, she's got good self-sufficiency, she's got her circle for applying buffs to herself and allies, she's got guaranteed poison when using Acid, she's got guaranteed double special defense debuffs when using Acid and Nihil Meteor Beam on all enemies, and guaranteed crits on sync moves, I guess, though that's not really something I would consider too much. But of course, I think one of the biggest things with her is that while her damage is going to look good, 100%, like she's got nearly 500 special attack without even investing the EX roll. She's got, okay, I guess 500 special attack if you just, 6-star EXer, right? Over 500 special attack, basically, really good. And over 550 with full investment. That's an amazing offensive stat. And she's got herself a good damaging option here. It is AoE, and it is split target, so keep that in mind. It might suffer similarly to how, like, Maxi kind of suffers a little bit, I guess. Of course, it does have an innate multiplier, so it is going to be doing a decent bit more damage, especially because it can also be boosted further under Alola Analysis and Rock Zone. So it's not going to suffer from, I guess, the similar regards there with Maxi, whereas he's, I guess, not even gotten a 500 offensive stat at full investment, so there's a bit of a difference there. You can kind of just look at the difference in the characters and see how, at base, I guess, Selene's going to be able to do at least quite a bit more damage than Maxi, who is still a pretty relevant damage dealer, just that split damage kind of hurts him a bit, say what you will. but that's nice. That's definitely one of the best aspects, of course. And also one of the other things that I would say is a hindrance to her. Again, two things. One, split damage on the buddy move is relatively annoying. But two, the buddy move being a 2-turn charge move, being reliant upon the circle activated in order to be able to use instantly is pretty annoying. At the very least, it's annoying for team building. Yeah, I say that's about the least you get, right? It's a little bit annoying for team building. You can, of course, run it with any circle, so you don't have to just rely on the special Alola circle. You can rely on Elio as a partner. Again, they are meant to be working together, so you would want to probably pull for Elio, get the Alola Solidarity, get its extension, get its NPR, whatever, and that will maintain the charge effect for Meteor Beam here, so you will not have to worry about that. But outside of Elio, you could also potentially run Champion Silver, double rock synergy, I guess, where he's got the Johto Circle, which will apply the same effect. And then, of course, you have other things like maybe Chase for a special support with the Circle. And there's, of course, a few others that are less synergistic, but, you know, still apply the same buff. Champion Bianca, Volo, Champion Nate, you know, whoever else. I know there's another one that I cannot think of off the top. Nears Wallace, right? Probably more, but those are the ones that are immediately, you know, right off the top of my head. So, of course, having a Circle character is almost necessary pretty much for her, and that's why I say team building is a little bit limited, because Circle is still a relatively new mechanic. There's not as many characters with it as with Rebuff, Zone, whatever. So being able to, or being forced to pretty much rely on that is quite annoying, especially at 1 out of 5, because she does have some gimmicks in her grid that does work around being able to use this move in 2 turns relatively effectively, quote unquote, but at 1 out of 5 specifically, she does really rely upon having some sort of circle activation in order to maintain the consistent damage from Meteor Beam. So that is something to be considerate of if you are going to be using this character. You know, bring her partners. Notably, probably Chase or Elio are your 2 best bets, just because of how much they can enhance her with Elio's Rock Zone, his own circle, and Chase's own circle, buffing special allies and also his special moves next buffing, and just general good special support, good support in general, right? General good support, whatever. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts about 1 out of 5 Selene. Definitely, you know, not bad for sure. Anyway, looking at her grid at 1 out of 5, she got just Sand Shelter. Not really worth investing. I mean, you're sure, man. There you go. Sand Shelter, Dauntless, whatever. It's fine. 2 out of 5, she gets Acid Gauge Refresh twice, actually. Potent Toxin 2, Quick Cure, Circle Gauge, Move Gauge Acceleration, Toxic Hit Speed Up, and Train Move NPR. This does actually remind me of something I do want to mention, is that if you're going to be running her with Elio, you know, you got that duo there, you are going to need some sort of gauge management. Elio is a non-gauge buffing support in pretty much all regards. His only method of buffing gauge is the Gauge Refresh 9 on SmackDown and the Circle Gauge Refresh 2 here. Sorry, Gauge Acceleration 2, whatever you want to call that ability, right? Selene has pretty much the same thing, except she's a 4-gauge move user. She's a little faster, not very much faster, but she is a little faster. And she's got the Toxic Hit Speed Up here and Circle Gauge Refresh at 2 out of 5. But at 1 out of 5, she doesn't have those abilities. So if you're going to be investing in, you know, using this character, these 2 characters as a duo, your 3rd unit better have some very good gauge management skills for the team. Otherwise, you are probably going to be struggling to consistently, at least consistently land the 4-gauge Nihil Meteor Beams here. So you got to be pretty careful of that. Just food for thought. That is probably one of the worst aspects about these characters being an intended duo, is that their gauge is probably going to be horrible. So just consider when you're using these 2 characters together, bring some form of gauge management. Paolo's not a bad one for if you're going to be running rock teams. I don't really have too many other ideas, because these characters are going to be wanting to run under rock, probably a mono rock team. And frankly, Paolo's your best bet for that team, but they don't even really synergize too much with Paolo. I guess, you know, they could. Just Paolo's more of like a sand abuser. They are not. He benefits into Rock Zone, of course, but his main role is not even really damage. It's more of like, again, Sync Acceleration, Sand, and like defensive debuff / flinch utility. Not really something that synergizes too well with these characters. It's not bad, but, you know, not the best of synergy. Anyway, whatever. That's just keep all of that in mind when using Selene, and especially with Elio. That gauge is probably going to be an issue. Anyway, I've gone over that a little bit too much. Back to the 2 out of 5, she does gain the Circle Gauge acceleration ability, as well as Toxic Hit, speed up 9, raising her speed when attacking a poisoned opponent. I think these abilities are helpful for the aforementioned problem of, gauge problems with these with Selene and Nihilego together. But I think these are also good abilities in general for the Gauntlet. Maintaining speed buffs without having to rely on like Fast Track or something gives you more opportunities to be able to power through with your buddy move, right? That's of course the best intent there. And again, being able to gain those speed buffs is nice, especially alongside a 1-gauge spammable move like Acid, right? So that is definitely nice. Other than that, she's got Train Move NPR for maxing special attack, giving another +1 special move next. Not really worth going for, but it is something to have. Not really much else to say. Double Acid Gauge Refresh nodes are pretty good too, though, if you want to try and spam that, again, in mostly the Legendary Gauntlet. See how the gauge works with that, on top of having Toxic Hit speed up, so that's not too shabby either. 3 out of 5, she gets Prep Posture, special moves next, Ready for Anything 5, Head Start 1, Alola Circle, Sync move up 9, Ramming Speed, hit poisoned opponent, special moves next, 1, 4, whatever, and then opponent special defense, Sync moves up 5, and Train Move ramp up 2, sure. So Prep Posture is what I was talking about earlier with her method of being able to use her buddy move in 2-turn instances without having Circle up, right? Prep Posture 9 gives you special moves next when taking up a counterattack position. It is basically the attempt that they are making in order to mitigate the fact that she needs a Circle to be able to use this move instantly. I do not think that it works effectively. Of course, it does not. It helps, right? But for one, you're messing up your sync acceleration, or your sync cycle rather, and you are also, again, still doing less damage even with that +1 special moves next than if you were to be able to just use the move twice. So I want you to keep that in mind, that this does not completely make up the difference of not being able to use this twice. It is only an assistant, but whatever. Ready for Anything 5, reducing damage by, I guess, 50% when in a counterattack position. Good damage reduction ability, I guess, for the Gauntlet. Maybe if you're about to take like a high-powered attack, you can time it appropriately, take that attack, launch a Meteor Beam, and it could probably work out. And of course, this could be good in Ultimate Battles as well. But of course, that does rely upon knowing, when you're going to be receiving this attack, having Circle down so that, the move does not actually use instantly. And again, it's still got that little bit of an annoyance of where you're not able to do as much damage as you would optimally like to be doing. But of course, there are instances where it works out in your favor, and just being able to be Ready for Anything does make it one of those, does make those instances a little bit more likely, or less niche, I guess. She's got Head Start 1 for some sync acceleration, basically just throwing this in there. I wouldn't say this is all that helpful, but of course alongside maybe, Champion Silver with his sync acceleration, Paolo with his sync acceleration, and, however many other characters, you can get yourself a little bit of a sync cycle in there. That's something. Alola Circle, sync moves up 9, and opponent special defense down, sync moves up 5. These are 140% in total multipliers, just for having the Circle active and having at least one special defense debuff on the enemy you are targeting. That's not bad, right? 140% multipliers that are very easy to activate, on top of having the Circle buff, and just, I guess, having Soften Up 1 for guaranteed crits, for sure. If you're hitting multiple enemies, that is great. So, having that's nice. These are very, very effective multipliers for her, and it's pretty, I'd say it's pretty par for the course for Striker, but still good, right? I mean, not much else really to say there. Hit poisoned opponent, special moves next up 1/4. Has a 50% chance of boosting special moves next by 1 when attacking a poisoned enemy. Just more damage for her Nihilego Meteor Beam, right? You could probably combine this with Prep Posture and try to get +2 special moves next, I guess. But again, it's just better to try and consistently do more damage with the Circle up with Nihilego Meteor Beam, so you can get a 50% chance of special moves next. It works similarly to Costume Eriott with her passive for hitting what type of opponent? A trapped opponent, hit, special boost, okay, just hitting an opponent. She's got the same thing pretty much, and it just consistently makes DPS a little bit better, right? It's just a method of powering up her moves on top of also having ramming speed for a direct 30% multiplier, which means her damage is actually going to look quite good, right? Especially under like Critical Strike 2 or whatever, Lucky Skill, right? For a multiplier, you've got a 30% multiplier with ramming speed if you can max it out, which you can try to do with Toxic Hit, or you could of course just bring a support for that. And then you've got the multiplier in her move here, which relies upon enemy special defense debuffs. I'm going to assume that's up to 30%. That would just make the most sense to me. And then again, a 50% chance of special moves next every time you attack an enemy that is poisoned. So you've got yourself 60% total multipliers, plus Critical Strike 2 for 80%, and then you've got that special moves next chance, meaning her damage is going to be looking quite crazy, especially single target, right? 231 power as a base special attack stat is not bad. Coming off of a 550 special attack stat with full investment, a Alola Circle activated, you know, if you're running her under Rock Zone or another special moves next buffer, again, she's going to look really, really insane. So that is 100% good. Again, her damage is going to look good, but again, there's those caveats to consider with the circle usage and potential gauge issues upon running her with who would realistically be her best partner, you know, all Elio. And then turn move ramp up, don't even, just let's just not, right? Buffing special attack by 2 when the move is successful. Just go for turn move NPR if you really need that special attack buff, but you don't. Just bring a support. You can max out special attack with pretty much any special base support these days. So just keep that in mind. And that's probably her best investment for move level. Actually, no, it's not. 5 out of 5 is, but 3 out of 5 is a good investment for move level for her maximum damage potential. But I would say 5 out of 5 holds a little bit of value. Anyway, 4 out of 5 she gets Sync Damage Guard and move gauge up to 9. Charging gauge by 2 when her move is successful. This is going to be giving her free gauge, right? If you use Acid, you get another gauge back, effectively. You use Nihil Meteor Beam, you use 4 gauge, you get 2 back. That's very good. Gauge efficiency is amazing in terms of this. Makes you more consistently able to use Nihil Meteor Beam. Probably is a way to try and mitigate her issues with Elio and them being super slow. Does it work in a duo or how do I word this? Does it really work in a setting of a longer battle where you're trying to, like an ultimate battle, right? Does it kind of work in that setting? Could. Does it work in Stadium? Could. I'm not really sure though, frankly. I think the most usage this has is in the Gauntlet, where you've got the ability to now consistently or more consistently use her main damaging option, or at least be able to effectively manage gauge a lot better. So having this is definitely very nice for that. And Sync Damage Guard could be helpful, right? You know, taking a potentially powerful attack if you know when it's going to be coming, but of course you have to, you know, orient using a Selene Sync move around that, so it could be a little annoying, but again, it is there if you know you're about to be taking a high-powered attack and you want to protect as much as possible against it, so keep that in mind. And then 5 out of 5, she gets Alola Circle Extension 3, and I set Circle special moves next 1-9. I wouldn't really worry about picking this up. That's a little bit extra special moves next, and that's nice and all of that. But the big thing is that you're going to be spending a lot of energy, and the Alola Circle Extension is right up here. I would say you want to have this as much as possible. Even if you're running her with Elio, you got NPR and extension on his move. I would say it's best to try and maximize having the amount of time for Alola analysis up as much as possible is a good idea, and probably the most effective idea, just so, because the damage buff is really good. Like, if you're running her with Elio, you're getting 30% extra special damage, and you're also getting that damage reduction as well, but most of the damage, right? And again, you are able to maintain extra usage of your Meteor Beam move if you do have, obviously, that circle activated, right? And even outside of using her with Elio, let's say you're in a duo or whatever situation, in Legendary Gauntlet, or if you're even in a solo, or if you're in any type of content where you're wanting to be more versatile with your team setup, if Selene is the only one using a circle, having that extension is pretty much vital to making sure her damage is not completely just cut off, right? Again, you can build around maybe like Ready for Anything 5 or something like that, but still trying to maintain her consistent damage, I would say, is something you really should be trying to do as often as possible. So getting that Alola Circle extension is really, really vital for that. At least I would say so anyway. So yeah. I think that Selene gains pretty much a lot of value from any move level, really. 1 out of 5 is whatever. 2 out of 5 gives some decent stuff for the Legendary Gauntlet, I would say, with the gauge management abilities. 3 out of 5 gets her all of her damage stuff, which is good for any just general situation, you know, Ultimate Battles, Champion Stadium, High Score Event, whatever. It's going to be good for all of that. 4 out of 5 gives her the move gauge up to 9, whatever you want to call this passive, right? This is amazing for the Legendary Gauntlet, and if you're really trying to invest a lot into her, you're probably going to find a lot of good usage in this. At least I think so. I'm mostly just speaking from how I'm thinking, right? Kind of how we all do. And then 5 out of 5, of course, she gets that circle extension, maintaining extra circle, and that is a very, very good node to have, especially if you know you're going to be running her with less circle partners or no circle partners at all, so where she has to be pretty much self-reliant on this, which has its own problems, trust me. So yeah, that's my thoughts about Selene Alt and Nihilego overall. How would I build her Saint Grid? Dude, I've got no idea. looking at Selene's grid, it's going to be pretty hard to manage how to make it, because you pretty much, it seems like you mostly have to just focus around if you want to go for a full DPS route, if you want to go for the full nuke route, or if you want to build on extension and go for probably the DPS route still. Because if I'm trying to build extension, this is the grid you would optimally want, of course, and this is with energy efficiency, but of course that's a little bit too costly. Even taking out the node here for special moves next, she still is over cap. And that's pretty bad again, even at 5 out of 5. So it looks like if you really want to probably try and build for her full like DPS and I guess nuke potential, you're pretty much stuck without getting circle extension, which is going to have its own set of problems. Personally, if I were to build her, or if I were to use her myself, I would honestly just invest in the full DPS option, or DPS route. Probably even invest in this node, because I know I can't really go for the sync nuke. And I would probably just focus on nuking with some other character, like Champion Silver, maybe Paulo's sync move, whatever else, right? But really, it's just going to be something more of an in-practice test. It's going to be depending on the situation and what you're doing, because of course a gauntlet grid is going to be different, a high score event or a ultimate battle grid is going to be different. There's just a whole lot of different ways to build for this character for sure, and I don't think your grid is placed too well with her nodes, but that's a whole other topic. There's a lot of characters who have it worse than Selene does. But whatever. Again, that's my thoughts about Selene Nihilego. Let me know what you think about them down in the comments below. Definitely not a bad character. Few caveats to make them a little bit more annoying to deal with, but definitely, again, not bad. So yeah, let me know if you're going to be summoning on them. Let me know if you're going to be skipping them. Good luck on your summons. Good luck on your savings. And I'll see you all later.